Hi, once again, welcome to the Ethical Hacking lecture series. In this lecture, we'll be mainly talking about the ethical and legal constraints, legal issues especially, and the cybersecurity life cycle, how it is going to implement, and all these things. First of all, coming to the ethical and legal constraints. How the ethical hacker should behave legally, making everything of legal. To make the things possible, first of all, before making the ethical hacking test, what I have to do? We have to have a proper written authentication between the organization and moreover the person who has been involved to make that testing. Written authentication or else authorization should be there. That is nothing but the permission should be taken. Then only we will be becoming as a legal person to make the hacking, the system resources and everything. So what I will be doing here, before implementing any sort of security testing begins, the ethical hacker must get the formal written permission from the organization so that he can move forward. And in that particular legal agreement, it has to clearly specify what are the do's and moreover don'ts. It has to be clearly provided. And if that particular things has been violated, what are the different type of legal consequences that can be faced by the ethical hacker? There is a chance, and there is some sort of situations where ethical hacker may, what he is going to do, they may avoid the required things in such a manner that they may leak the data also. And next thing, we have to clearly define the scope. That is nothing but the do's and moreover don'ts. Which particular things has to be properly tested. Clearly define the system resources. Okay, he is authorized to check only these particular system resources. He is authorized to check only these particular networks. Okay, he is authorized to check only these particular databases. The test plan should clearly define what the system, network, application, IP addresses, everything clearly, so that there should not have any sort of proper or miscommunication between the ethical hacker and more of the organization. We have to strictly maintain the rules of engagement. ROE has to strictly maintained. What this particular ROE will be mainly describing how the testing has to be conducted, what are the different type of timelines, whether these particular applications or also tools or also techniques can be implemented on their own database or not. Everything has to be properly checked, the rules. And next, the legal compliance and more of the regulations. At any instant of time, if the ethical hacker is violating the written agreements, automatically there will be a legal compliance. Legal consequences has to be bared by the ethical hacker if he is not following the rules and regulations that has been already taken at the time of permissions. And what the testing that has been done by the ethical hacker, that particular thing has to be properly documented. And that particular report should be properly maintained so that these particular documents or also reports can be provided before the law. If any legal issues has been happened, that particular document can be used by the next generation hackers also to check what is the process that has been involved, everything. So these are the 5 different type of key strategies that has to be strictly implemented or planned. First of all, we have to take the written authorization has to be taken. This is the first thing. We have to define the required scope, and the rules has to be strictly defined, and the legal compliances or also legal consequences has to be faced, has to be clearly known for both the parties, and that thing has to be properly documented and reported. for the future uses. So coming to the ethical and moreover the legal issues, as I am saying, the authorization is very much mandatory. Without authorization, the ethical hacker cannot access the resources of any sort of thing. It may be system resource, applications, database, network, any sort of thing. It should be legal. And it has to be bound to the laws and regulation. Every country will be having their own cybersecurity laws. We do have the Information Act 2000, which has been implemented by Indian government. We have to strictly go with that particular IT laws, rules and regulations. And we have to maintain the proper professionality of code of conduct. So, as an ethical hacker, I was hired by any organization. We have to be strictly professional. We have to strictly maintain the honesty and the data that has been maintained by me, integrity of the data, confidentiality of the data, and my own responsibilities also. We should not deviate from these things in order to properly maintain a professionality. Next, coming to the confidentiality and more of the data protection. Even though I got the authorization to access the data, I have to strictly maintain the confidentiality of that particular data. And their data should not be revealed to any unauthorized persons from me. Why? Maybe there will be a certain sensitive information may be there during the testing process. I have to strictly maintain the confidentiality. It should not be copied. It should not be shared with any other friends, close relatives, any sort of persons. And next, taking the responsibility. What about this particular responsible disclosure? Once the vulnerabilities has been identified during the testing process, okay, they have to be properly documented, and it has to be reported to the organization so that they can make the necessary actions, not to have any sort of legal issues, not to have any sort of loss of data, any sort of things. So ethics and moreover legality plays a vital role in the case of ethical hacking. We have to strictly bound to the legal consequences. Coming to the attacker's process. What is the basic life cycle of the cyber attack? How the attacker is going to attack my own system. So the first of all, what he will be doing, he will be getting the footprints. That is nothing but information gathering. So in the case of first phase, that is nothing but the reconnaissance phase, what they will be doing, the attacker, the cyber attack, or else any sort of person, so the attacker collects the entire, gather the entire information about the target system, organization, employees, IP addresses, open source, tools that has been used by them, or else open ports, everything. Okay, it may include the open source intelligence also, OSINT. Okay, they will be analyzing the social media behavior of that particular corporate company. So then only we can properly identify the entry points. Next, we are going with the scanning and moreover enumeration. In the case of scanning, okay, we are simply discovering or identifying the exploits or also weaknesses or also vulnerabilities that has been there. Okay, it will be attacking about the open ports, active hosts, and everything. And next, we have to gain the access, exploration. The attacker, what they will be doing, they will be exploiting the legal permissions without any sort of authorized permissions. They will be entering into the network. They will be attacking the passwords. They will be injecting different type of SQL injections or else malwares, brute force attacks, ransomware attacks. Any sort of thing can be done by them. And next thing, we have to check about the persistence, maintenance that implies. So these attackers, what they will be doing after the gathering the information, scanning the entire ports, checking the vulnerabilities, next he will be gaining access. The attacker, what he will be doing, he will be installing different type of trapdoors, malwares, or else backdoors, and they will be entering into the network, into the system resource, into the database, anywhere. And he will be gaining entire control of the resource. Automatically, my data, my resources will be getting hijacked. Is about the maintaining access, and next covering the tracks. So the attacker, once he entering into the network, grab the information, got the entire control of the resources. Next, what he has to do, he will be erasing the total his own footprints. He will be erasing the log history. Okay, he will be modifying the system records. He will be hiding the malicious files that has been used by him, or posted by him, or copied by him, so that the normal ethical hacker, a normal legitimate person cannot identify whether it has been attacked or not. So this is about the simple attacker process, or else a life cycle that will be simply followed by the attacker. What he will be doing, first of all, reconnaissance. He will be getting the entire information. And next, he will be scanning and moreover making the enumeration. He will be gaining the access control of the system resources. He will be maintaining that thing. And finally, he will be disclosing the entire things. That implies he is going to delete all the log information, so that any person cannot identify some sort of attack has been occurred or not. So, in conclusion to that, here you can see the stages of cyber attack lifecycle here in detail here. The first of all, as I said, we do go with the reconnaissance. That is nothing but he will be gathering the entire information. And he will be making use of the weaponization. That is nothing but they will be paid with the malicious code. Okay, let me go with a small example. And somewhere in the year 1980s, I think so, in the early years of digitalization. Okay, I mean, what the attacker, what he has been done is nothing but to the data that has to be genuinely transferred, he added an malicious things, malicious application, or also malicious code. Okay, up to the total information has been going to execute. Okay, line by line, the code has been executed. Okay, when this particular point where the attacker has copied some sort of malicious information, malicious code, it has been triggered, then only it has attacked the entire database, entire system resources. And we have to check about the delivery, the transmission of the weapon or also malware about this particular target. Let me go with a small example. Okay, you may be familiar about the surface web, dark web, and moreover the deep web. The surface web is nothing but the web applications or else websites what we are accessing in our day-to-day life. 97% of the internet access will be done only on the surface web. And next we do have the deep web, 2%. This 2% of the deep web will be maintained the entire legal information, entire secure information, concerned to the military, concerned to any sort of government database, any sort of things. And 1% will be of dark web, which we are very much familiar. So in this particular dark web, 1% of the information transmission that has been happening in the case of dark web is affecting the 100% of the internet world. You can identify, you can analyze. Let me go with a small example. In the case of dark web, you can check a different type of websites. I mean, those particular websites can be usually identified by using the Tor. Any URL, generally what we are using in the case of surface web, we do have the .com, .edu, .ac, something else. But all these things are following the dark web, especially websites. They'll be following the Tor, T-O-R. Okay, they will be following the onion routers. These onion routers will not maintain any sort of information about the users. Okay, strictly incognitive applications will be happening in the case of dark web. That is a thing. Okay, most of the hackers, trackers, most of the drug delivery agents, they are using the dark web. Okay, most of the dark web transactions will be concerned to the weaponization, malware, and even women trafficking, child trafficking, different type of things. We should be very much very much cautious about those particular websites. Next, coming to the exploitation. Once delivered, the weapons are also targets, are also the malware code. They will be, once it has been triggered, they will be behaving irregularly. They will be exploiting the system resources. They will be gaining control about the total system resources. And then they are going to make the required installation. The weapon install malware on the system. Automatically, once the system installation has been happened on that particular system resource, it will be continuously doing his own actions. The command control will be entirely, it's under his own control. The command channel will be getting the remote access, and he will be simply attacking the target system. So the actions and objectives are nothing but with hands-on access. The attacker will be achieving the required his own objective by hacking the entire system resources. This is nothing but the life cycle of the cyber attack. He'll be getting the required information, reconnaissance. Next, he will be making the weaponization. He will be developing the required malware, and it will be delivered to the target, and it will be triggered and then installed. Once it has been installed, it will be gaining access control of the entire system resources, and then his own objectives will be cleared. Once he is gaining the entire control of the network or the system resource, he can behave as he like. Coming to the ethical hacker process. So up to now, we had seen about how the cyber attack or the cyber criminal is going to behave. So in consequence with that, how the ethical hacker has to behave. So first of all, once again, the same process. Why? Because, as I am saying, ethical hacker should always be similar to that of the attacker, but with an legal permissions. The first of all, in the case of ethical hacker process, what he will be doing, he will be getting the information similar to that of the process that has been involved in the case of cybersecurity lifecycle. Reconnaissance, gathering the information, scanning the required network ports, hosts, everything, checking the vulnerabilities. Vulnerability analysis and moreover exploitation will be happened. That thing will be posted and risk assessment will be done. And finally, we will be going with the reporting and moreover the necessary actions, remedies, so that attacker will not do any sort of things. So thank you. In this lecture, we have discussed about the ethical and moreover the legal issues and cybersecurity lifecycle. Similar to that and in line to that, how the ethical hacker process will be involved, the lifecycle. Both will be of much more of same, as attacker and moreover the ethical hacker will behave similarly. Thank you.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.